Thank you, Lieutenant Governor, for your words. Good morning, all. Thank you for being here. The killing of George Floyd and Daunte Wright highlighted deep-rooted issues in our policing system that people of color have known about for years. As Attorney General Keith Ellison said, the guilty verdict of Derek Chauvin was a step towards accountability, but there is a lot of work to do to reach justice. In doing this work, the ball is in the court of the Minnesota legislature. We must address police reform immediately because every Minnesotan, regardless of where they live or what they look like, deserves to feel safe in their communities. As we are here this morning, I am remembering when we gathered in this same room last July for the bill signing of the Police Accountability Act of 2020. We said then that it was a first step. It was the bare minimum of what Senate Republicans would agree to at the time, and we understood this work needed to continue in the 2021 session. As of today, Senate Republicans have held 0 hearings on police reform, with just over 2 weeks left in this year's session. After the death of Daunte Wright, Senator Gazelka promised informational hearings on police reform before the end of session. Last week, he went back on that promise, saying we'll use the conference committee process. While the conference committee path may help us pass police reform legislation, it limits the chance for public, stakeholders, and members, particularly senators of color, to be a part of that discussion. And finally, while Senator Gazelka has committed to letting the committee process play out, he won't commit to actually passing the reforms we desperately need. Right now, we have a window of time, while the world is watching, to be the leaders that our communities of color need us to be. We have over 2 weeks to pass meaningful public safety reform. We've seen how fast the Senate can act when they choose to. Just this week, we passed almost $8 million very quickly to fund public safety after the Chauvin trial. We need to act with the same urgency to pass police reform. There's incredible support and momentum for police reform right now, including from Minnesota businesses who know that it is good for business when residents and visitors feel safe in our communities. We've received letters of support on police reform from the Minnesota Business Partnership and the Minnesota Business Coalition for Racial Equity, which includes representatives from 30 large Minnesota businesses, including 3M in my own district, Best Buy, General Mills, Medtronic, and Target, just to name a few. They understand how important it is that we continue making needed reforms and the urgency of doing so. And the House just passed transformational police reform legislation last week, and I applaud them for their bold and swift action, recognizing the urgency of what's at stake. I also want to note that police reform is only part of the equation in creating truly equal opportunities and justice for people of color in Minnesota. We must address the systemic inequities that have existed in Minnesota for generations by enacting a state budget that reflects our shared values and brings us closer towards equity for all. Again, the world is watching. This is a time when Minnesota can lead and model for other states how to come together to make policy changes that will literally save people's lives. And when it comes to saving lives, it's simply unacceptable to say, we'll get to that next year. Thank you. And I would now like to welcome Speaker Melissa Hortman.